friends. I'm Randy Eager with EZLeadFind Online Lead Generation. I've been in real estate for over 36 years, have been president of the CRS program nationally, traveled the world implementing real estate services, and have been involved in massive lead generation and SEO for over 10 years. During that time, we became the #1 ranked company for the most popular phrase, real estate SEO, out of 96 million competitors. So I'm going to draw on this background to show you what works to make your real estate career skyrocket faster and in a more lucrative manner. We'll take a look at some important studies and new out-of-the-box thinking that top producers are using to make sales faster and easier. So let's take a look at how to generate leads easier and more profitably. In this session, you'll learn the economic model, or what the economics of lead generation are. Involved in this will be the most important point of all. Just what is the value of a lead anyway? We'll then take a look at the budgeting process. After all, anything worth investing in needs to be budgeted and means tested. Now, means testing refers generally to the eligibility for relief of debtors who have sufficient financial means to pay a portion of their debts. Thus, you need to know if you have the means or budget to pay for lead generation and how much of that budget should be. Finally, under the economic model, we'll take a look at what I like to call the numbers game. Most agents like to work those areas that are easy to work and provide an easy and safe return, such as open houses and referrals. These are areas of low volume and high value. We'll contrast these with just the opposite, high volume and lower value. The next major area will be the actual great website model itself. Here, we'll take a look at the components of a compelling website. Since most agents have websites now, it's critical to understand the compelling features that you must have to make it capture the viewer. It's very important that we take a look at the anatomy of buyers, sellers, and how to capture them as strong leads. But capturing them is not enough if we can't cultivate and convert them into sales. And the third area we'll discuss will be the internet marketing model. As I've said before, if it's worth doing, it's worth measuring. This is what gives you an idea of how your efforts are going. How would any sports team do if they didn't know their statistics from game to game and be able to adjust accordingly? It's the same with lead generation. Target marketing is the ability to identify those buyers and/or sellers that you want to go after. More than this, you have to know what to do to capture them. And finally, the heart of many lead generation campaigns is the SEO, or search engine optimization, area, and PPC, or pay-per-click area, of finding these buyers and sellers in an automated basis. Okay, let's take a look at what I feel is the most important aspect of what you'll learn today. And that is, what's the value of a lead? We'll start with a spreadsheet that you can use to recalculate for your market exactly what the value of a lead would be for you. Just email me at the end of this video and I'll give you my email address to get this. But in the meantime, let's take a look at some fairly general numbers from across the country. Let's start with an average sales price of $200,000. Now let's say that your average commission due on the sales side of the transaction is 3% of the gross sales price. If you're an agent, you'll want to include your agent split, which I'll count as, let's say 70%. As a broker, you'll want to put in the inverse of this, or 30%. This brings us to an agent commission income for the agent of $4,200 per home sold. Now let's put in a number for the number of monthly leads per month to be 30, or about 1 a day. As you'll see shortly, this should be very conservative, but I think a useful purpose for now. The lead conversion ratio is the percentage of those leads that you attain, in this case 30 per month, that you can convert to a sale. While internet leads are not the same quality as personal agent leads, they are typically far larger in number. Nationally speaking, internet lead conversion can go anywhere from 3% to 10%. Personally speaking, we find our lead conversion goes from a low of 5% to a high of 15%. So to use the number of 3% means that you're very low at follow-up or just not trying. Using these numbers, we'll see that the resulting numbers of transactions will be in the range of just under 1 sale a month, or a net monthly commission income of $3,780. If we take this monthly income of $3,780 and divide it by the 30 leads we got for the month, that converts to a value per lead of $126 per lead. Keep in mind that this is a running average, in that the leads you get today will result in closings in 2 or 3 months. Now let's just change one variable in our equation, the conversion rate. Let's say that you got just a little better than converting your leads, and instead of 3% conversion, you pushed it up just 2% to 5% conversion rate. What would that mean in sales to you? It pushes your monthly sales income to $6,300 per month, $210 per lead, or a $75,600 income just from working your lead generation program a little bit better. During our time together, we'll be showing you how you can generate these leads yourself, or how you can hire it out. Whichever way you choose to do it, you can now see that working leads effectively can be highly lucrative. This is the latest profile of the Home Buyer and Sellers Survey put out by the National Association of Realtors. In it, it shows that 90% of all home buyers start their search for a home on the internet search engines. We'll get into more details about this later. Suffice it to say, if you're not using the internet as your main source of lead generation, you're missing the boat. You must fish where the fish are at. Now, what if every prospect search led to your world? I really want you to ponder this question. Being in the face of your prospect and having them like what they see is how effective lead generation should start. Now let's take a look at the economic model. Before you set your budget, ask yourself these questions. Number 1, what is my goal in internet sales? Number 2, is yours a new business or an existing business? Number 3, do I have a tracking system in place? Number 4, how much time am I willing to spend? Number 5, do I want to do this myself, or do I want to hire it out? And number 6, how many leads can I handle per month? Now let's take a look at these one at a time. The first question was, what is my goal in internet sales? Answer: if you're busy working existing leads, internet leads may not be for you. Question number 2. Is yours a new business or an existing business? Well, the answer to this is interesting. If it's a new business, you may want to spend between 20 to 25% of your income because you're just getting started. Existing businesses may spend anywhere between 5 to 15% of their income generating leads. Question number 3. Do I have a tracking system in place? The answer, well, internet leads need systems to keep track of leads, especially when you're getting more and more leads. Question number 4. How much time am I willing to spend? Well, the answer to this is every lead is an emergency opportunity waiting to happen. What do I mean by this? You have to get onto these leads immediately as they come in. In other words, they're an emergency when you get them. You must be back to them quickly. And we'll go over this in just a moment, but they're also an opportunity waiting to happen. Question number 5, do I want to do this myself or hire it out? Well, the answer to this is lead generation has a long learning curve versus hiring an expert. And that's the same thing for any service you want to do. And question number 6 was, how many leads can I handle per month? Well, many agents hire teams to work larger number of leads due to the higher return on investment. Well, a recent study asked internet agents the following questions. How many visitors were coming to their site? What percentage were buyers and what percentage were sellers? How many registered? How many of those registrations turned into appointments? How many of those appointments turned into agreements? And how many of those agreements turned into sales? And the average conversion rates were? And here's the study. I think you'll find these conversion rates interesting. First of all, the middle column is the seller conversion rates, and the far right-hand column is the buyer conversion rates. So let's start with the second row, which shows us the visitors by type. We see that of all visitors, only 15% are sellers and 85% are buyers. This tells us that few sellers use the internet to look for agents. However, when we look at the next row, or visitors to registrations, we see that far more sellers will register for your site than buyers by a margin of 20% to 3.25%. Remember that this only means that they gave you their information. Note that getting an appointment once you have their information is equal at 5% each. Now watch how the conversion skyrockets when you're able to meet with them for an appointment. Once you have the appointment, getting the agreement is 80% likely for sellers and 65% likely for buyers. Finally, how does this pan out to sales? Well, 65% of those listing agreements turn into sales, and 80% of those buyer-broker agreements turn into sales. Now let's take a look at how much money in commission income these top agents make. Now, top agents in the study receive between 70 and 120,000 visitors to their site per year. Let's look at what happens if we round this out to about 100,000 visitors per year to your website. What would that mean in conversion rates? With 100,000 visitors, top agents get 15,000 seller visitors, and in turn, they get 85,000 buyer visitors. Note that the far right-hand column represents a best-case scenario, which we'll get into later. As you follow these numbers down, With the conversion rates that we previously went over, you see that top agents get a gross commission income of about $468,000 from sellers and $430,000 from buyers for a total of $898,000. But that was only the average gross income. When counting the ideal buyer from the better agents, we see that the total gross commission income comes to almost $2.5 million. The study also followed the costs and expenses of the sales, which are shown as well. Note that the average was almost $367,000 in net income, while the better agents accumulated over $680,000. Now remember that this income was created by just working a formulated leads program. When you get good at something, focus on it and do it better than anyone else, and the money will come. Invest in your future today. Think big and think exclusive. If you'd like any further information, including our special What's a Lead Worth spreadsheet, you can email me at info@EZLeadFind.com, or you can call us toll-free at 800-277-1316. And if you remember nothing else from our time together, remember this thought made famous by Theodore Roosevelt. In any moment of decision, the best thing that you can do is the right thing. The next best thing that you can do is the wrong thing. And he said, the worst thing that you can do is nothing. So get on board with us and we'll do it. What in the world have you got to lose unless you allow your competition to dominate you? And then there's no undoing that mistake. You're in control unless your decision is to do nothing. Thank you for being with us today, and stay tuned for part 2, dealing with creating great lead capturing websites in our series of how to generate leads easier. Thank you, and goodbye.